Hello and welcome back to Pep Talks. Oh, excuse me. Um, I am doing a first here on Pep Talks today. Well, two things actually that are a first. You may notice um, if you're watching this on video, that I have a fancy microphone. So I'm hoping the audio quality is good for you guys. I did do a little test on it yesterday, and Jemma, my lovely guest, has said I sound good at her end. So I'm hoping for you guys listening in, however you're listening in, are hearing good audio quality as well. And the second exciting and new thing for Pep Talks is I am welcoming my first guest onto the podcast. So without further ado, let me welcome you to Jemma. Jemma is one of my clients. She's inside my Simplify program. And today we're going to have a little chat about her journey, her business journey, and how Simplify and the whole program and working with me has supported her in bringing her business to life. So without further ado, Jemma, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners?
Oh, lovely. Thanks for having me, Sue. My name's Jemma Pimlott. I am 49 now. I'm coming into my 50th this year at the end of the year. I live in Devon with my husband and my two boys who I home educate. Um, I'm an ex-children's social worker and community nurse, mainly in palliative care and children with life-limiting conditions and health visitor. And I've been toying with starting a business for a few years. Lots of imposter syndrome and other things that, we'll talk about how Simplify have helped me with. And I finally launched the Life Admin Hive in November last year. And I help busy, overwhelmed women with their life admin, the mental load that mostly it's the load is on us, statistically speaking, where 71% of the mental load lands on the shoulders of women. And I help with that with a membership group, with online co-working, with expert spots, resources, a variety of things.
Yeah, it's all about that mental load, isn't it? And the listeners of this podcast will be very familiar with me talking about that on other episodes and how I support women with that too. But you're supporting them with their life admin and the load that is carried rather um, in relation to school forms, dinner money, all the life admin that we all have to do, particularly as mothers. Um, but certainly as women, yeah, but I think as mothers in particular, we carry a huge amount, don't we? So you mentioned that you launched your business in November. Take us back because you've dabbled a little bit previously, haven't you, Gemma? So take us back a year or so and explain why it didn't launch before November to the listeners.
Okay. So I've talked about with you before about how when I was a social worker and I was be cross-examined in court or whatever, I could be a real fearless warrior for the children I was advocating for. And when I was a community nurse and I was supporting children and families in the worst times of their life, if I needed to train 300 junior doctors in a great big amphitheatre, and I was fighting for the children to make sure that they families were being treated well by the information I was giving out in my training, not a problem. Absolutely okay. That's fine. When it's come to launching a business for me, where I'm then saying I'm selling my skills and what I have to offer, I've really struggled to do that. And people that have known me in my previous jobs and lives would be like surprised at that because they would see me as being someone who'd be really, strong and courageous, really, which I was when
Yeah.
I was, in the roles that I was in. So I've dilly-dallied backwards and forwards about starting a business. And then when life events have taken hold, like my father-in-law was sick for a long time, and my husband was away, miles and miles away, supporting him. And then my sister-in-law died suddenly and left my brother and my young niece. And then I had an accident last year where I broke my leg and my ankle, needed lots of surgery. Anyway, the life event things have happened. And I have then used those things that have come up as a great excuse to be able to go, oh, thank goodness. I can put this whole idea of a business to bed because it's so far out of my comfort zone. It's frightening, and was making me feel sick all the time at the thought of actually launching and putting myself out there. So each time I'd run free groups, and I had like a beta group, and I was providing like weekly online co-working and all these different, I was providing lots of stuff for free and kept going. And soon I will launch and I will ask people to pay me money to provide this service. And then another life thing would come along, and I'd go, phew, I can just keep offering stuff for free because I'm not in the position to do it right now. So I've spent a long time doing
Yeah.
that.
The
I went,
self-sabotage was real, wasn't it?
yeah, so much. It's hard to get over. I'm very
Yeah.
lucky where we live in Devon that they were able to run a women in business course. They had some funding through the local council, and I went on that. And then I was successful with some funding through the She Started It grant. And I had mentoring with Stacey, who runs the women's co-working space that I use that you and I know. And it really started the ball rolling of thinking, I have got lots of transferable skills here. I
Yeah.
can't currently work in that work because it doesn't work with home ed with my family, but I've got a lot to offer if I can just get past myself and allow myself to get out of my own way. So I'd
Yeah.
kind of start the ball rolling, listen to a lot of podcasts, read a lot of books, go on a lot of training courses, speak to a lot of, be really G'd up and really excited by what the potential I had. And then I'd get home and then it would fall flat. I'd go from being really enthused in a mentoring session or a day with the women's only co-working or something, and I'd be like, I can do this. I absolutely can do this. I've got a lot to offer. And then I'd get home and sit in front of my laptop and go, oh my goodness, the thought of being visible, being out there, yeah, then I used to fall flat, and I spun my wheels doing that for nearly 3 years.
Yeah. So, what would you say is the thing that encouraged you to join us inside Simplify? What did you think it was going to help you achieve by joining Simplify that you weren't able to gather from the podcasts and the books and the mentoring and the co-working space? What did you think that Simplify would give you in addition to that?
I think because I'd done some other work with you, I'd come along to some of your sessions and I'd seen how you worked. I was also I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 47 after years of struggles, and went through the NHS finally and was diagnosed. And lots of the stuff I was coming across was very felt like it was just aimed at a wide mainstream market, and lots of the models of I don't know, you must eat the frog and you must make yourself get visible and you must do this and you must do that. And I'd kind of try all these ways because other women around me were being successful in their business trying these ways, so surely that's going to work for me. And then they didn't work for
Yeah.
me. And then when I met you, I'd always had followed your stuff, and like I said, been to some of your sessions. And then when you started running this, I just thought, wow, like the opportunity to come on it was amazing to me because it's got the mixture of the self-led stuff and the group chats and Zooms and stuff and the one-to-ones. But then the thing that buttons it all together for me is the WhatsApp group and the because I can be on Zooms or on training or whatever and be really like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do, and that's great advice, and I'm going to follow that through. And then when the mind monkeys start chattering and I talk myself out of it, I can't then put myself back in that until I'm at my next thing. And if they're a
On the
month
next
apart,
call. Yeah.
then or the training courses was done and completed in 6 weeks, and now what kind of thing,
Yeah.
then that,
Yeah.
I don't know, that like I don't know what it's called, like being able to put it into action. Like I can't think of the right word, but implement.
Yes.
Being able to implement what I'd learned by having these different strands of, like I say, the self-led, the monthly, the one-to-one, and the call together. I think it's the combination of the four together, whereas I'd not had all of those in one place
Yeah.
together, one space.
Yeah, I mean that WhatsApp group is the cheerleading and supporting in there is really powerful, isn't it?
It really
We've
is.
had over the course of the last 4 months or so, we've had various things pop into that chat from various members of the group who have had difficult periods of time, whether it's in life, whether it's in business. And we've all been able to sort of, not just me as the facilitator of that group, but also the other members have really jumped in and supported everybody, but also celebrated in those wins as well. And I know everybody was very, very proud of you when you finally got Life Admin Hive off the ground with your paying clients. No more freebies flying here, there, and everywhere, but actually paying customers coming through the door. Was such a turning point for you, but also for us to celebrate with you as well inside the group. Amazing. So if you were to compare yourself now, on the 26th of January 2026, to, let's say, September before Simplify kicked off, um, what's the comparison? What do you see or feel differently about your life and your business now compared to September before we started the program?
Well, kind of everything. Is that too big a kind
No?
of everything? Because I felt before September and before I started in Simplify and then eventually built up the courage to launch in November, I felt like this was like an expensive hobby. Like I was, I was paying out money to Canva and to Google Suite and to, all these business things. And I was spending time and energy going to training and reading books. And I was doing all this stuff, but it felt like an expensive hobby, like I don't know, one of my friends' husbands plays golf and it seems like, he has tuition and he has fees and he has kit and everything else. And it's like, wow, I feel like I'm spending what you're spending, but you're having this amazing leisure time. And I'm in
Yeah,
this self-torture cycle of like, oh my goodness, I'm committing all this time away from my family. I'm committing these resources, this money that could go into my children more or could, support the family more, and I'm not managing to take the leap. I'm not managing to push myself over the cliff. I've got to the edge and I'm kind of looking over and I can't get there. And I just felt like a fraud, really. And I felt like it was selfish, like when I was taking time to work outside of the home one day of the week that I didn't start until September. That kind of I felt when we were talking a lot in Simplify about, kind of committing to yourself and like I think I used to bump up against the discomfort of coming out of your comfort zone and committing and the vulnerability of that. And we talked a lot about how I used to sink my ships in the harbour because it felt safe and pushing them out to sea was really vulnerable. And
yeah,
part of that picture was like, if you go and commit the time to, work outside of the home one day a week, initially, yes, you are paying out money and you're
yeah,
not making money back, but you are saying, I want to be a real businesswoman. This isn't a hobby. This isn't a fun game of, you know, for it's like a monopoly game of business life. I want it to be a business where I get to help people and make income to support my family, to have other
yeah,
experiences. So I think from then I was like, okay, so I actually am a businesswoman because I'd go to networking before then and people would go, what do you do? And I'm like, well, nothing really. I don't really, I'm thinking about, I'd love to, I used all these words and then talking to you guys and you saying, your brain's believing what you're saying. And if you can start saying to yourself, you are a businesswoman, you are
yeah,
starting your business, you are going to make mistakes and you are going to fall flat on your face with some things, and that's all okay. And no one's going to die, like nothing horrific's going to happen. You might feel a little bit embarrassed or a bit of egg on your face, but at least you're doing it. At least you're
yeah,
trying, and at least you're not in another 3 years' time going, did you put this business to bed? Like,
yeah.
did you just give up the idea and regret it? That
Yeah,
was the,
I was literally just about to say there's nothing worse than having regrets, is there? At
yeah,
least if you've tried and it doesn't work, then you haven't got the regret of not even trying. You've just got the learning and the experience of, okay, I tried, it didn't quite work out how I expected, but at least I gave it a go. And you're never going to have to live through the regret of not trying. And you just mentioned about networking, and I think it's important to share at this point that given what Gemma's shared already on this podcast episode about vulnerability and self-sabotage and not wanting to be visible and get herself out there, and all of those things that she was sharing earlier, which I'm sure lots of you will resonate with, um, Gemma spoke at a networking group for the first time on Friday. So she, as she described it earlier, she popped her networking speaking cherry on Friday. And this is her first podcast guest appearance. So she is popping her podcast guest cherry today. And to go from somebody who didn't even want to have her photograph on her website or to show her face on social media, we're now seeing her speaking at events, committing to come on this podcast recording today, which will potentially go on YouTube as a video. Gemma and I will agree that between ourselves as whether she's happy for that to be the case, because that's how I operate with my clients. Everything's done on very much trust and what's the word I'm looking for?
Consent.
An agreement basis. That's not quite the words I'm looking for, but we all know what I mean. Um, but yes, Gemma's face is all over social media now. More or less every social media post Gemma puts out has her face in it, which is just incredible for somebody who was scared of the visibility.
Mm.
Um, so it's incredible the transformation over this 4 months and the courage that you've had put forward in order to get to where you are now. Um, how do you feel in yourself now on a day-to-day basis compared to maybe back in September?
Um, I think it's like ripples in a pond, isn't it? Because partly, I was saying to you, we're as a family, we're off traveling for 10 months, starting from June. And I had this kind of deadline in myself about if I can't launch the business in time, then I'm just going to stop, put it to bed, mothball it, and just do some work for someone else for a bit of money. So the fact that I then committed, that you guys were able to help me see that I didn't need to, there wasn't a figure, there wasn't like a point of money where I was like, unless I'm earning X by this point, then it's a failure, which I got in my head. And Simplified helped me get that out of my head because, I'm at the point where I'm breaking even, which is great. Like, I'm only in
Amazing.
my third month of trading. I'm really grateful that I'm breaking even and I'm working towards the profit side, but you
Yeah.
guys helping me see the stuff that's not as tangible. Do you know what I mean? Like you might have more social media followers, or you've been able to put yourself out there at guest speaking slots or podcasts, or there's other ways that your business is building, and it's not just
Absolutely.
about the financial side. That kind of, I don't know, it like took a weight off my shoulders where I was like, okay, so I don't have to have this number that I'm hitting by June this year. Otherwise, that's it. The business is over, kind of thing. So the ripples out from that have meant that I've relaxed into it and see it more of a long term, like I've got big plans in my head of like, I would love to do work with teenagers because I'm seeing with my friends' children who are older than my teenager, that a lot of this life admin load on the shoulders of the female is perpetuating. And I've,
Yes.
18 and 19-year-old females that are like, no,
Yeah.
no, that is wrong on every level. I've got all these designs of all these things I would love to do, and I didn't really have them before because I wouldn't allow myself. I think what Simplify has done and working with you has done is look at the what's acceptable. Like I can't remember how you worded it in some of the self-led stuff, and we've done it in some of the monthly stuff. So I'm going to paraphrase it in the wrong way, but kind of it is acceptable and safe and okay to have big dreams. Like it doesn't, I don't know, I think beforehand I was like, you can't dream too big about where you'd like to take this and what you'd like to do because it makes you more vulnerable or it makes,
Yeah.
the higher you shoot, the further you can fall, like that kind of thing. And I think being in Simplify has given me the kind of confidence to say, you might not be doing it in 6 months' time or a year's time or whatever time, but you can have that dream and it's safe to have that dream. And it's not just for other people that you feel have got more, I don't know, skills or charisma or, I don't
Yeah.
know, experience or whatever. Like you can cultivate it and it takes time to do it, but you can get there.
Yeah.
And I think I wasn't able to dream bigger than, well, I'm just going to have a small membership and I'm only going to have like 5 or 10 people and that will be it. And I'll never get beyond that kind of thing. Like Simplify has really helped me to dream bigger and go,
Amazing.
actually, there's other branches of things I can do. And then it's perpetuated out into like other ways because I used to journal years and years ago and hadn't picked it up for a long time. And then I try and come along to your Tuesday evenings, your lovely sessions. And obviously, some of the self-led work is journaling. And outside of the business stuff, I've kept up some of the journaling skills into other areas of my life. And I felt the ripples out from that has been
Yeah.
great. And then small things that don't feel until you sit and examine it. Like when I was thinking about what I wanted to say today, I was like, they're so connected, but they don't feel like an immediate connection. Like I've started wearing lipstick. I haven't worn lipstick for I can't tell you how long. Probably before my eldest, he's going to be 14 this year. And I'd got to a point, I'd put on quite a lot of weight and I was just at home. I wasn't back in the workplace after I'd stopped health visiting and stuff. And I'd just given up really in wearing anything nice and, you know, rolling a turd in glitter, as I've talked about with you before. And then since the Simplify thing, I'm like, well, if I'm going to be a guest speaker at a networking thing, I don't really just want to turn up in my hoodie and leggings,
No.
or, I want to
Yeah.
try. And so sometimes I'm just making an effort to even just put some earrings in, where normally I'm like rushing with the kids and doing stuff. And I don't know, it's not just how it's impacted how I view what I'm capable of within the business, but also outside of that, the ripples in the pond outwards. Yeah, it's affected lots of areas.
So
So
would you say you feel more confident then?
yeah, definitely. I think it's not even am I more confident as in more outgoing or more, more able to express. It's do I feel confident that I can fall flat on my face and get back up again? I think I didn't have confidence that if I screwed this up, like I'm convinced that I needed to read one more book, listen to one more podcast, go on one more course, then I would have the knowledge to not mess this up. Then I would
Yeah.
have the knowledge to get it right first time. If I just take more time to get my website better, get my profiles better, get some nice, then I'll not mess it up. And I think it's a bit like when you become a mum, like you're never ready. There's never a good time. You are
No.
going to make mistakes. You are going to learn as you go. You're not going to be perfect. And that's all okay. But I think the whole pressure that women are put under, not coming to business till my late 40s, ADHD, and that kind of people pleasing survival thing that I've had all my life, and then when you start your own business, you can't please everybody anymore. Like you can't,
No.
whatever price you put it at will be too high for some and not enough for others. Whatever session days you offer will be the right day for some and not for like the confidence in. So I may not appear more outwardly in some ways, but in others, inwardly,
It's your
my
inner
confidence,
confidence.
yeah, is there to
Yeah.
say, I'm going to try this out. I'm going to get curious about this thing to see whether it's, something to explore or not. And if it doesn't go the way I want it to go, it's all right. Like,
Yeah. And you always learn something from it, don't you? At the end of the day, if it doesn't
yeah,
go how you expected, whilst it can be frustrating, there is always something to learn from it and take into the next experiment and the next thing you're curious about. I love that, Gemma. Honestly, you really are a different woman to the person that I met, what, nearly a year ago, I guess.
mm,
Um, and certainly a different person to the lady who joined Simplify back in October. Not because you've changed who you are, you're still the same Gemma, but the way you hold yourself, the way you present yourself, the way you speak, the language you're using to talk about yourself, so much more positive and so much, as I say, it's that inner confidence. And the reason I asked the question
yeah,
is because I can see it in you.
mm,
And you mentioned about how having the pressure taken off of not hitting certain targets by certain dates and all that sort of thing. I can see that in your social media posts. I can see that you're getting joy from writing your social media posts. They are coming from a relaxed, authentic, I'm just going to put this out in the world, Gemma, rather than a shit, I need to get this right, Gemma.
yeah,
Um, and what was it, 2 weeks ago, you did your first video speaking to camera as a post for social media. And I know you felt really uncomfortable doing that. And I know that you shared with us inside the Simplify group that it made you feel really sick
It
that you
did.
were putting that out in the world. And all you got back from us as a group was the most wonderful, positive messages because what you were seeing on video wasn't what we were seeing on video. And it's those sorts of things that really help to boost us when we're perhaps feeling a bit vulnerable. When other people say, well, what you're seeing is really not what everybody else will see. And you wouldn't get that if you were doing this all on your own. So
Mm.
having that group support, it has been really powerful in those sorts of instances, hasn't it?
Yeah,
But yeah,
definitely.
I absolutely see your confidence has grown. And as you say, it's not the outward confidence, although the fact that you're putting earrings in and makeup on and dressing nicely and feeling good in your body does help. We all stand better and sit better when we're dressed nicely, don't we? But
Mm.
it's that like coming from your core that we can see, or I can certainly see, has been a transformation in you over the last few months. Um, what do you feel most proud about over these last few months?
Um, Self-compassion, I think. It's been a really hard practice to work on for me. I've always been the most critical. The things I say to myself are vile. Like I would be devastated if my children talk to themselves the way I have spent nearly 50 years talking to myself. It's vile. And living in that headspace, when I've had some therapy in the past, traumatic burst, various things, I've had some therapy. And at the time, they're like, well, you need to say to that critical, you give it a name, give it a really horrible name, and tell that critical voice to shut up and blah, 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 blah. I've tried all the things. Doing this kind of work and learning that it's not a critical voice, it's a horrible person that's trying to make me feel rubbish. It's a protective,
Yeah,
nurturing part of me that is desperately trying to keep me safe,
yeah,
and doing that is it, over the years has learned if you keep small and you don't dream big and you don't put yourself out there and you don't put, then you're much less likely to,
to
but
get
it's
hurt.
kind of like,
Yeah,
statistically, if you're driving a lot on the roads, at some point you're going to have a smashed windscreen or you're going to have a car accident or something, because statistically you're putting yourself out there. That's not what you're thinking about when you get in the car to drive to the things all the time. Like, yes, at some point there might be an accident, but generally day to day you're safe and you take the precautions and you get about your business. I think when I have not been able to push myself out there, or I've, I don't know, not come across the way I've wanted to, or I've not been able to do the work to the schedule that I would like to keep to because I am home educating and I don't have loads of time, or whatever it is, my usual default of self-criticism, of not seeing any positives about the things I've done, because look at the 6,000 things I haven't done. And, yes, okay, well, that I did do that, but it's not how I wanted it to be. It wasn't as perfect as I wanted, or it wasn't as, the procrastination, not because I'm a perfectionist, as in I think things should be perfect. I don't, but as in when you put them out there and they're not how you wanted them to be, if you'd have had all the time and energy and resources in the world to be, it feels more vulnerable
yeah,
than a more perfect product. So the self-compassion to be able to say, you know, oh well, like you did your best and that's the best that you could do. Oh well, I put the video out there. My mate messaged me and was like, "You're a muppet. You've put like the words are going across your face. You should have edited it so that the words." I was like, I didn't watch it back. I just pressed, and I'm okay with that the words are across my face, or
and next
there's spelling
time you'll
mistakes
know
in my
to edit
posts,
it.
or yeah,
Yeah,
like, it's okay that I've learned that these, as I'm going along and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that I didn't know that, and now I do for the next time, or I didn't know that resource worked, or I didn't know that, whatever it is. I've never, ever, ever been able to go, well, you did your best and it's okay. Like the critical voice has always said, you should have thought about it more, you should have prepped more, you should have covered every eventuality, you should have, you've let the ball drop, you've let the plate smash, you've
yeah,
let yourself down, you've disappointed others, you're useless. And then that clouds what I can do next. So moving to self-compassion It's not always easy. Do you know what I mean? And
No.
it is a real work in progress, and I still catch myself at times. But the times I've been able to go, yeah, I've dropped the ball there, or I've done whatever, and then the voice starts, and then I'm able to go, yeah, you've dropped the ball there because you're juggling 400 things, because something has to give,
Yeah.
because you're not Superwoman and nobody is, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And that practice and allowing myself to do that without feeling like I'm letting myself off the hook. Because I used to think compassion meant letting all your standards drop and just like letting yourself off the hook and all of that. So that's probably the thing I am most proud that I've been able to work on cultivating.
Amazing. And that, as you mentioned earlier, that has such a powerful ripple effect because not only does it mean that you're moving things forwards in your business much faster than you ever were. I mean, you've launched the business, you've got a website now, you've shown up on social media doing a video and photos, you're here, you've done the talk on Friday. None of that would have happened back in September. So not only has it had that powerful impact, but it's also having an impact, I would imagine, in your home life and also in the way you feel about yourself, and hence the makeup, the earrings, the dressing nicely, all those things. They are all being impacted by that one thing, by you starting to actually nurture yourself and have a positive relationship with yourself, as well as having positive relationships with those people outside of you, the people you love. But yeah, you're also showing your children that looking after ourselves and being compassionate and nurturing of ourselves is a vital life skill. So
Yeah.
yeah, amazing, amazing. Um, okay, just to finish off then, I think, um, what would you say to someone who feels stretched thin, isn't sure that they have the capacity to invest in support?
Um, I would say I totally know how you feel, like 100%. I've felt like it for so many years. And unless, like, if you had a crystal ball and you could go forward a year or 2 years and you could go, oh, that investment led to these gains for me, whether it was financial gains or, gains in confidence, takes it, whichever it is, and then come back to the present day and say, I'll do it. But we don't have the crystal ball and we're
No.
not able to go, this will definitely be the right way to invest, your time, your energy, your money, all of that. So for a long time, I span in circles going, well, I can't commit to anything that costs money because how can I guarantee it will be beneficial to me? And then when I started to trust in the that kind of rhythm of like when you put in, you get out, like with everything, relationship building, business stuff, whatever it is. I found that some of the free stuff, I used to sign up for all these like 3-day challenges, 5-day challenges, this. You're not invested in the same way when it's
No.
like a free short thing, and things that are short are cheaper. Like things that I've paid for, I've signed up for cheaper things that are short, but they've not impacted in on me on the way I would like them to, because by the time I'm like, get my feet in, get curled up on the sofa, I'm here, I'm finally getting the vibe and I'm getting what I need from it and I'm relaxed enough to be myself, it's done. It's finished.
Yeah.
So I think the investment in something like Simplify, where it's a longer term piece of work that feels that it has tangible results, it certainly had very tangible results for me. I'm really grateful. Things like I say, like co-working, the courses, the different stuff that I've done. I'm really grateful to my past self that Gemma thought it's kind of won't swear to children around. It's kind of go to the toilet or get off the toilet. That phrase that's less couth way of saying it. You get to a point where you just like, if you're going for this and you're going for it all in, you can't, you can keep trying to teach yourself, but it's like trying to
Yeah.
teach yourself to cook without a cookbook. Like you can keep trying to do it, but it's going to take you longer and slower. I didn't used to pay for Canva. I'm like, that's not an investment I can make. I'm not making money at that point. And then I spent so long trying to circumnavigate the things when you can't resize and you can't do this and that from the free version. Ridiculous. Once I
Yeah.
started paying for it, I'm like, now I have hours freed up to do other things in the business. So
Yeah.
I think investing in it's when you're employed by someone else, they invest in you, don't they, with courses and sending you on to things. When you're employed yourself, you need to have your own little budget or slush fund or way of doing it where you're like, I need to invest to get back. And like,
Yeah.
if you're trying to reach your fitness goals, you might employ a PT or a nutritionist or whatever. If you're trying to design your house to work better, you might employ an architect to come and do the plans or whatever it is. You can do these things yourself, but have you been successful at doing those before? Do you know, what I mean? Like, certainly
Yeah.
for me and my ADHD brain, like, yes, I can watch YouTube videos and exercise at home, 100%. Will I? No, I won't. Because if there's a time to do it later, then I'll do it later. But
And then
do I
later
go
never
to my
comes.
PT sessions once a week because it is at a deadline time? Yes, I do. Would I do the self-led stuff that if this was available online with other things or whatever? No. Do I do the self-led stuff of Simplify? Yes, because there's accountability within it. And I'm going to come to the monthly session and the calls with you. And do you know what I mean? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I would say do it. That's what I would say. Invest in yourself and shorten the time frame because you'll probably get there
Yeah.
at some point in the end, you hope, with various free things and whatever else. But you might not get there and it might not be as profound, the changes, and you've lengthened the time it's going to take
Yeah.
to
I
do
mean,
it.
do you
So
think your business would have started if you weren't inside Simplify? Do you think it would have started by now if you weren't inside Simplify?
no, because I'd convinced myself that November was a rubbish time because it's too close to Christmas. So then I should really wait to the new year. Then I was thinking, oh, by the time no one's got any money in the new year, no one can do it in January. Well, I'll wait till Easter. Oh no, we're going traveling in June. It's too close to when so I wouldn't have done it. I'd have just put
Yeah.
it off, and I was very close to mothballing it until we get back in 2027. And then
Yeah.
I'd have been so gutted. My present self would have been so annoyed with my previous self because now I've got, months under my belt of doing it. I'll have more months doing it while we're traveling. And when I can come back and be very able to start doing in-person stuff and everything else, what a foundation I've given myself rather than listening to that voice. So I don't think I would have done, and I'm grateful that I did.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Gosh, so much to take from this for those people that are tuning in. If there's one word or one short phrase that you could just say to sort of wrap this whole episode up, what do you think that would be?
I'm going to go big with something like transformation because I think it
Transformation.
is because it's a transformation in so many different areas.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have found it transformational.
Yeah.
Oh, can I twin it with like transformation and implementation? Because I've been on so many different
Absolutely.
things where I'm like, this feels transformational, but then I can't implement it. So I think if there was a word where you could blend those two together,
Transform. No, I'm not even going to try. We'll have two words, transformational and implementation.
yeah,
Incredible. I mean, as I've said a couple of times throughout this episode, um, these 4 months really have been transformational for you. You
I
are a
have, and I
complete
don't want to
leap.
sound like a walking advert for Simplify because, like, you've not asked me to be a walking advert or anything. I genuinely am like fangirling over it because it's genuinely been transformational for me. So when you were talking about doing this, I was like, I'm so delighted to be able to maybe the other people might be like, oh, I don't know, should I, shouldn't I? To go, look, if you can't have been further back in your thoughts about business than I was, like you can't have been down on yourself more than I was. And if I've managed to get to this point where I'm, forward focused and knowing that I've got the right support behind me to build upon it, then you can, like for
Yeah.
sure.
And we've still got 2 more months to go. So just
Yeah,
imagine
exactly.
where we're going to be in 2 months' time. Oh, well, thank you so much for joining me here, Gemma. It's been wonderful to chat to you and really dig into your experience on Simplify. Where can people find you if they want to find out more about Life Admin Hive?
I have a Facebook page, Life Admin Hive, and I have a new website, lifeadminhive.com. Yeah, it's brand new, just
Amazing.
started last week. Got it out there finally. So yeah, come along and see what we do. And if you want to
Yeah,
message me, if you wanted to book in like a chat to see whether what I offer is suitable, let me know.
amazing. I'm going to drop into the show notes the links to Gemma's Facebook page and to her website. So if anybody does want to come and find you, the links will be down there for you to do that. So thank you, Gemma. We will say our goodbyes and I'll see you inside Simplify very, very soon.
Perfect. Thanks, Sue.